Hello, Christine Cassigling here on another skeletal tour, but this time we are going to go over the appendicular skeleton, which means we are going to go over your appendages. We're going to start off with the pectoral girdle, which is made up of your clavicle and your scapula. And this girdle holds your upper limbs to your axial body, or to your axial skeleton, by this joint right here, which is your shoulder joint, or your glenohumerus joint. Alright, so let's go over the scapula. Not the scapula, we're going to go over the clavicle first. The clavicle has two ends, the acromial end and the sternal end, and it's also known as your collarbone. Moving on to the scapula, which is your shoulder blade, it has a coracoid process, which is right here. Your subscapular fossa is right here on the anterior side of your scapula. The glenoid cavity is right here within the joint. The spine of your scapula is here, this part, and it ends in the acromion. The supraspinous fossa is the fossa above the spine, which is right here, and the infraspinous fossa is the area below the spine of it, which is this part right here. And then the sternoclavicular joint joins together the sternum and the clavicle, so it would be right here. And the acromioclavicular joint is right here. It joins the acromion process and the clavicle, so it's right here. Alrighty, moving on to the arm, we have the humerus right here. The head of the humerus is this part right here. The greater tubercle is right here, and the lesser tubercle is right here. The deltoid tuberosity is kind of hard to see on the skeleton, but it is this little rise, or like lump, I guess, bump right here. The medial epicondyle can be seen right here, and the lateral epicondyle is right here. The coronoid fossa is right here, and the olecranon fossa is on the back side, which is right here. And what these two fossas do is it gives the elbow of the ulna full range of motion when it flexes and extends. And then the trochlea, which is on the posterior side of the arm again, is right here, and it articulates with the radius. So moving on to the forearm, this is the anterior view. We have the ulna and the radius. The ulna is slightly longer. It has the olecranon, so I can flip you over. So the olecranon of the ulna. Going back to the anterior side, we have the coronoid process and the styloid process of the ulna, which is right here. The slightly shorter radius is right here. We have the head, the radiotuberosity, which is right here, and the styloid process of the radius, which is right here. Moving on to the tarsals, or the wrist of the hand. There we go. Starting from the proximal end, or row, we have the scaphoid, the lunate, the triquetrial, and underneath we have the pisiform joint. Bone, the pisiform bone, which is right there. And then the distal row, we have the trapezium, the trapezoid, the capitate, and the harnate bone. Now, to make the wrist, the bones that make up the wrist are the distal row, or the proximal row, right here. Sorry, I'm all over the place. Which is the scaphoid, the lunate, and the triquetrial bones. They make up the wrist. And the bones that make up the pollex, or the big thumb, is the trapezoid bone. And then moving down, you have your metacarpals and then your phalanges. Alright, so that was your upper body. Okie dokes, so now we are going to go over the pelvic girdle. The pelvic girdle is made out of the sacrum and the two os coxae, or the hip bones. It holds the bones of the lower appendages to the axial skeleton by these two joints, the coxal joints or the hip joints. So we're going to go over now the coxal bones, or the hip bones. They start out as three separate bones that develop or eventually fuse together via development, and they are the ilium, which is about here, the ischium, which is this part down here, and the pubis, which is this part right here. So the acetabulum of the pelvic girdle is right here, this part. The symphysis pubis is right here. The obturator foramen are these holes right here. The iliac crest is right up here, this part, while the anterior superior iliac spine is this part right here. The iliac fossa, the iliac fossa is this part of the ilium here, this side. The greater sciatic notch, if I can turn Mr. to the side, you can better see it, is this part of the pelvic girdle right here, this notch. The ischial spine is this right here, and the ischial tuberosity is right here. Okay, now to the legs. The femur, which is the largest, the heaviest, the biggest bone, long bone in our body, or is the thigh bone. The head of the femur is right here, and then the greater trochanter is right here, and the lesser trochanter is right here. The abductor tubercle is right here, and then the medial epicondyle is here, and the lateral epicondyle is here. Then the medial and lateral condyles, if I can turn him to the posterior view, this is the medial condyle and the lateral condyle. Back to the anterior view, the patella, or your kneecap, are these bones right here. The sesamoid bones, because they're shaped like a seed. Or, yeah, sesame seed. Okay, now it's time to move down to the lower leg bones, which is the tibia, the bigger one, and the fibula. So, starting with the tibia, we have the medial and lateral condyles. The medial condyle is right here, and the lateral condyle is here. We have the tibiotuberosity, which is right here, the medial malleolus, which is down here, and there are two tibiofibular joints where the tibia and the fibula join together. We have your proximal tibiofibular joint and your distal tibiofibular joint. Now the fibula, the smaller one, on the lateral side, you have the head, which is here, and the lateral malleolus, which is here. So now that we're done with the upper and lower legs, we're going to move down to the feet. So I'm going to bring the camera down, alright, and focus, and we're good. So you have the tarsal, which is here, and it connects to your tibia and a little bit of your fibula. And then the calcaneus is on the side, right here, and that's your heel. Next we have your cuboid bone, which is right here. Your navicular bone, which is on this side, your medial side, right here. And then we have your medial cuneiform, intermediate cuneiform, and your lateral cuneiform bones. And that makes up the tarsals. Then your metatarsals are right here. And then the phalanges are your toes, which are right here. And then this is your big toe, your hallux. And I think that's it. That is it. That's a wrap with the appendicular skeleton. Thank you. I hope you had fun as much as I did.